the chamber was silent. For thousands of years, it had waited, holding one man inside. The machines that once hummed with power were now broken, covered in dust and rust. The air was heavy, and the smell of age filled the place. He opened his eyes. At first, he did not understand where he was. His vision was blurry, and his body felt weak. He tried to move, but his muscles were stiff, like stone. Slowly, he sat up, breathing hard, his chest rising and falling as if he had just escaped drowning. The man's name was forgotten even to himself. His memory was broken, scattered like pieces of glass. He only knew one thing: he had been asleep for a very long time. The chamber lights flickered once, then died. He looked around. The walls were cracked, wires hung loose, and strange marks covered the floor. He touched the cold metal beside him. It felt ancient, lifeless. He whispered, where is everyone?" No answer came. Only silence. He stood, his legs shaking, and walked to the door. It was half open, stuck in place. With effort, he pushed it, and the sound of grinding metal echoed through the empty hall. He stepped outside. The world beyond was not the world he remembered. The city stretched before him, but it was not alive. Towers stood tall, but their windows were broken. Roads were cracked, plants grew wild through the stone. Cars sat frozen, covered in vines, their doors open as if people had left in a hurry. He called out, "Hello. Is anyone here?" His voice bounced back from the empty buildings. No footsteps, no reply. Only the wind answered, carrying dust across the street. Fear touched him. He was alone. He walked slowly, his eyes searching for signs of life. A bird flew overhead, the first living thing he saw. But there were no people. No laughter, no voices, no sound of machines. The man's heart raced. He tried to remember. How long had he slept? 100 years? 1,000? His mind whispered a number, 15,000. 15,000 years. The thought shook him. Could it be true? Could humanity be gone? He entered a building. Inside, the walls were covered with faded posters. The words were unreadable, the colors gone. He touched one, and it crumbled under his fingers. On a desk, he found a broken screen. He pressed buttons, but nothing worked. Dust covered everything. He searched for books, papers, anything that could tell him what happened. But all he found were fragments, torn pages, burned edges. He felt a deep emptiness. The world had moved on without him. Outside, the sky was gray. Clouds hung heavy, and the air was cold. He walked through the streets, past statues that had fallen, past fountains that no longer flowed. Nature had taken back the city. Trees grew through walls, grass covered the roads, and animals moved freely where humans once ruled. He stopped at a large square. In the center stood a monument, broken in half. The words carved into it were strange, not the language he remembered. He stared at them, confused. Who had written these? Were they human? Or something else? The silence pressed on him. He shouted again, louder this time, "Is anyone alive?" Only the wind answered. His chest tightened. He felt small, weaker than ever. The weight of 15,000 years pressed down on him. He was the last echo of a world that no longer existed. But then, something caught his eye. Far away, at the edge of the square, a shadow moved. It was quick, almost hidden. He froze, his breath caught in his throat. Was it an animal? Or, was it a person? The shadow vanished behind a wall. Hope sparked inside him. He was not alone. He ran toward the place, his feet pounding on the cracked stone. His heart beat fast, louder than the silence around him. He reached the wall, looked behind it, nothing. The street was empty again. He stood there, breathing hard, his eyes scanning every corner. He felt watched. He felt the presence of something, someone. But he could not see them. The man whispered, "I am not alone." The words gave him strength, but also fear. If someone was here, why were they hiding? Were they human? Or something else? He turned slowly, his senses sharp. Every sound, every movement in the wind felt alive. He walked back to the square, his mind full of questions. The silence was no longer empty. It was heavy, filled with mystery. He looked at the broken monument again. The strange symbols seemed to glow faintly in the fading light. He touched them, and for a moment, he felt warmth. His eyes widened. Something was waiting for him. The man stood in the middle of the ruined city, alone but not alone. The world had changed, humanity was gone, but the story was not finished. The awakening was only the beginning. The man stepped into the ruined city, his breath slow, his eyes wide. The silence was heavy, pressing against him like a weight. Every step echoed across the empty street, bouncing back from broken walls and hollow towers. The world was not dead, but it was not alive either. It was something in between. Tall buildings stood like skeletons, their glass shattered, their steel bones exposed. Roads stretched far, but they were cracked and broken, swallowed by roots and vines. Nature had claimed the land, but it felt wrong, too quiet, too empty. He walked past cars frozen in time. Their doors were open, their seats covered in dust and moss. Some had skeletons of animals inside, but no humans. It was as if people had vanished in a single moment, leaving everything behind. The man whispered, "Where did they go?" His voice was swallowed by silence. He searched for signs of life. A shop stood open, its shelves broken, its goods turned to dust. He touched a bottle, and it crumbled in his hand. He found toys scattered on the floor, faded and broken, as if children had once played here. But there were no children now. The emptiness was worse than death. Death had an end. This silence had no end. He moved deeper into the city. Statues of leaders stood tall, but their faces were worn away, their names unreadable. Fountains were dry, their basins filled with weeds. Parks were wild, trees growing thick, but no laughter filled the air. The man's heart beat faster. He felt watched, though no one was there. Shadows seemed to move when he turned his head, but when he looked again, they were gone. He entered a library. The air was thick with dust. Shelves stood tall, but most books had turned to powder. He picked one up, and the pages fell apart in his hands. He searched for answers, but the past had been erased. On the wall, he saw strange carvings. Symbols that were not human. They glowed faintly, as if alive. He touched them, and a chill ran through his body. He whispered, "This is not ours." Fear grew inside him. Humanity had not simply vanished. Something had taken their place. He left the library, his steps quick, his breath sharp. The streets felt narrower, the silence heavier. He shouted again, "Is anyone alive?" The wind answered, carrying his voice away. He stopped at a wide square. In the center stood a monument, broken in half. The words carved into it were strange, twisted, not the language he remembered. Around the monument, the ground was burned, blackened, as if fire had consumed it long ago. He knelt, touching the ash. It was cold, lifeless. The man's mind raced. Had humanity fought something? Had they lost? He looked up at the sky. Clouds moved slowly, heavy and gray. The sun was weak, hidden behind the mist. The air felt colder, sharper, as if the world itself was dying. Then he heard it. A sound. Soft, distant, but real. It was not the wind. It was not an animal. It was something else. He froze, his heart pounding. He turned his head, searching. The sound came from the far end of the square. A faint echo, like footsteps. He whispered, "Someone is here." He ran toward the sound, his feet striking the cracked stone. His breath grew heavy, his chest tight. He reached the edge of the square, looked around, nothing. The sound was gone. He stood still, his eyes scanning every shadow. The silence returned, heavier than before. He felt watched. He felt hunted. The man whispered, "I am not alone." His words trembled in the air. He turned slowly, his senses sharp. Every broken window, every dark alley seemed alive. He felt eyes on him, though he could not see them. He walked back to the monument, his steps slow, his mind full of fear. The strange symbols glowed faintly again, and he felt warmth under his fingers. He pulled his hand back quickly. Something was waiting. The man stood in the middle of the ruined city, surrounded by silence, surrounded by shadows. Humanity was gone, but something else had taken its place. The earth was empty, but it was not safe. The silence was not silence. It was a warning. And the man knew, his awakening was only the beginning of a greater mystery. The man walked deeper into the city, his footsteps slow, his eyes sharp. The silence was heavy, but now it carried something else, an echo, a whisper of the past. Every broken wall, every ruined street seemed to hold a memory, a shadow of what once was. He entered a wide avenue. The buildings here were larger, stronger, but still lifeless. Signs hung broken, letters faded, words unreadable. He touched one, and the paint peeled away under his fingers. The man whispered, "This place, it remembers." He moved forward, past shattered glass and twisted steel. His eyes caught something unusual. On the wall of a tall building, strange marks were carved deep into the stone. They were not human letters. They were symbols, sharp and curved, glowing faintly in the dim light. He reached out, his hand trembling, and touched them. A chill ran through his body. The symbols felt alive, as if they were watching him. He pulled his hand back quickly. Fear grew inside him. Humanity had not simply vanished. Something else had been here. Something powerful. He entered the building. Inside, the air was thick with dust. The floor was covered with broken machines, wires hanging loose, screens shattered. He stepped carefully, his eyes scanning every corner. On a desk, he found a small device, cracked but still glowing faintly. He pressed it, and for a moment, a voice filled the room. It was broken, distorted, but human. "They are coming, we cannot stop them, humanity must leave." The voice ended in static. The man froze. His heart pounded. Humanity had fought something. Humanity had tried to escape. He whispered, "Leave." "Leave where?" He searched the room, desperate for more clues. He found papers scattered on the floor, burned at the edges. The words were faded, but he could read fragments: war, invasion, survival, exodus. His breath grew heavy. Humanity had not died. Humanity had fled. But fled from what? He left the building, his mind racing. The streets felt darker now, the silence heavier. He walked quickly, his eyes scanning every shadow. At the end of the avenue, he found a large hall. Its doors were broken, its walls covered with strange carvings. He stepped inside. The hall was filled with statues. At first, they looked human. But as he moved closer, he saw they were not. Their faces were twisted, their bodies tall and thin, their eyes carved wide and hollow. He whispered, "These are not us." The statues seemed to watch him, their empty eyes glowing faintly. He felt surrounded, trapped. He stepped back, his breath sharp. Then he heard it. A sound. Soft, distant, but real. It was not the wind. It was not an animal. It was something else. He froze, his heart pounding. The sound was like a whisper, a voice calling from the shadows. He turned his head, searching. The voice grew louder, broken, distorted. You should not be here. The man's chest tightened. He whispered, "Who is there?" No answer came. Only silence. But he felt it. He was not alone. He ran from the hall, his feet striking the cracked stone. His breath grew heavy, his chest tight. He reached the street, looked around, nothing. The silence returned, heavier than before. He stood still, his eyes scanning every shadow. He felt watched. He felt hunted. The man whispered, "Something is here." His words trembled in the air. He turned slowly, his senses sharp. Every broken window, every dark alley seemed alive. He felt eyes on him, though he could not see them. He walked back to the avenue, his steps slow, his mind full of fear. The strange symbols glowed faintly again, and he felt warmth under his fingers. He pulled his hand back quickly. Something was waiting. The man stood in the middle of the ruined city, surrounded by silence, surrounded by shadows. Humanity was gone, but its echoes remained. The past was not dead. The past was alive, whispering, warning. And the man knew, his awakening had uncovered only the first layer of a greater mystery. The echoes of the past were calling. The man walked through the ruined streets, his breath slow, his eyes sharp. The silence was heavy, but now it carried something else, an unseen presence. Every broken wall, every dark alley seemed alive, as if something was watching him. He stopped at a narrow street. The air was colder here, the shadows deeper. He stepped forward, his footsteps echoing against the stone. Then he saw it. A figure. Tall, thin, standing at the far end of the street. Its shape was human, but not human. Its arms were long, its head tilted, its body wrapped in shadow. The man froze. His breath caught in his throat. The figure did not move. It only watched. He whispered, "Who are you?" No answer came. The figure stepped back slowly, then vanished into the dark. The man's heart raced. He ran forward, his feet striking the cracked stone. He reached the end of the street, looked around, nothing. The figure was gone. But the feeling remained. He was not alone. He turned, scanning every corner. His eyes caught movement again. A shadow slipping behind a wall. He followed quickly, his breath sharp, his chest tight. The streets twisted, leading him deeper into the ruins. The silence grew heavier, broken only by the sound of his own footsteps. Then he heard it. A whisper. Soft, broken, carried by the wind. "You should not be here." The man froze. His heart pounded. He whispered, "Show yourself." The whisper faded. He moved forward, his steps slow, his eyes sharp. He entered a wide square. The monument stood in the center, broken and burned. The strange symbols glowed faintly again. And then he saw it. The figure stood near the monument. Tall, thin, its eyes glowing faintly in the dark. The man's breath grew heavy. He whispered, "Are you human?" The figure tilted its head. No answer came. It stepped closer, slow, deliberate. The man stepped back, his chest tight, his breath sharp. The figure stopped. It raised one hand, long and thin, pointing at him. The man froze. The whisper returned, louder now. "You are the last." His eyes widened. His chest tightened. He whispered, "The last, human." The figure lowered its hand. It turned slowly, then vanished into the shadows once more. The man stood alone in the square, his heart pounding, his mind racing. He whispered, "What are you?" No answer came. Only silence. But he knew now. He was not alone. Something was here. Something that knew him. Something that called him the last. The silence was no longer empty. It was alive, filled with shadows, filled with whispers. The man stood in the ruins, surrounded by fear, surrounded by mystery. Humanity was gone, but its shadow remained. And the stranger's shadow was only the beginning. The man wandered deeper into the ruins, his breath heavy, his mind racing. The shadow he had seen was not human, yet it had spoken. It had called him the last. The words echoed inside him, louder than the silence around him. He whispered, "The last human, what does that mean?" The streets grew darker as he moved forward. The sky above was gray, the clouds heavy, the air colder. Every step felt heavier, as if the world itself was pressing against him. He entered a wide hall, its doors broken, its walls covered with strange carvings. Inside, the air was thick, heavy with dust and age. The floor was cracked, the ceiling broken, but something inside still glowed faintly. He stepped closer. In the center of the hall stood a great machine. Its surface was covered with symbols, glowing faintly in the dark. He touched it, and the machine came alive. A voice filled the hall. It was human, but broken, distorted, fading. "This is the last record, humanity cannot survive here, we must change, we must leave." The man froze. His chest tightened. His breath grew sharp. The voice continued. "We are not gone, we are not dead, we are becoming something else." The machine fell silent. The man's heart pounded. Humanity had not vanished. Humanity had changed. He whispered, "Changed, into what?" He searched the hall, desperate for more answers. He found carvings on the walls, showing tall figures with glowing eyes. They looked human, but not human. Their bodies were thin, their faces strange, their hands long. He touched the carvings. They felt warm, alive. He whispered, "This is them, this is what they became." Fear grew inside him. Humanity had not died. Humanity had evolved into something else. Something beyond recognition. He stepped back, his breath sharp, his chest tight. His mind raced. He was the last of the old humans. The world around him was no longer his. Then he heard it. A sound. Soft, distant, but real. He turned his head, searching. At the far end of the hall, a figure stood. Tall, thin, its eyes glowing faintly. The man froze. His breath caught in his throat. The figure stepped closer, slow, deliberate. Its voice filled the hall, broken but clear. "You are the last, the old blood, the old flesh." The man whispered, "What are you?" The figure tilted its head. "We are humanity, but not as you remember." The man's chest tightened. His breath grew heavy. He whispered, "Humanity, changed." The figure stepped closer. Its eyes glowed brighter. "We left this world, we built new homes, we became more, we became different." The man's heart raced. He whispered, "And me? What am I?" The figure raised its hand, pointing at him. "You are the echo, the last of the old, the one who woke too late." The man's breath grew sharp. His chest tightened. He whispered, "Why am I here?" The figure lowered its hand. "To choose, to decide, to join us, or remain alone." The hall grew silent. The figure's eyes glowed faintly, watching him. The man stood frozen, his mind racing, his heart pounding. Humanity was not gone. Humanity had changed, evolved, become something else. He was the last of the old. And now, he faced a choice. The silence pressed against him, heavy, alive. The figure waited, its eyes glowing, its voice echoing in the dark. The man whispered, "What does it mean, to be human?" No answer came. Only silence. But the truth was clear. Humanity was not dead. Humanity was different. And the man's awakening was only the beginning of a greater decision. The man stood in the ruined hall, his breath heavy, his chest tight. The figure's words echoed inside him, "You are the last, the old blood, the old flesh." He whispered, "The last human." The silence pressed against him, heavy, alive. The figure's glowing eyes watched him, waiting. To choose, to decide, to join us, or remain alone. The words trembled in the air, sharp and cold. The man's heart pounded. His mind raced. Humanity was not gone. Humanity had changed, evolved, become something else. He was the last of the old. And now, he faced a choice. He stepped back, his breath sharp. His eyes scanned the hall. The carvings glowed faintly, showing tall figures with strange faces, glowing eyes, long hands. They were not human, but they were humanity. He whispered, "Is this what we became?" The figure tilted its head. "We became more, we became different, we left the old behind." The man's chest tightened. His breath grew heavy. He whispered, "And me? What am I?" The figure stepped closer, slow, deliberate. "You are the echo, the last of the old, the one who woke too late." The man's heart raced. He felt small, weaker than ever. The weight of 15,000 years pressed down on him. He was the last of his kind. The figure raised its hand, pointing at him. "Join us, or remain alone." The silence grew heavier. The hall seemed to close in around him. The carvings glowed brighter, the air colder. The man whispered, "If I join, what happens?" The figure's voice filled the hall. "You will change, you will become, you will leave the old behind." The man's breath grew sharp. His chest tightened. He whispered, "And if I refuse?" The figure lowered its hand. "Then you remain, the last echo, alone in a world that is no longer yours." The silence pressed harder. The man's heart pounded. His mind raced. He faced a choice, to join the new humanity, or remain the last of the old. He looked at the carvings. He looked at the glowing eyes. He looked at the broken world around him. He whispered, "What does it mean, to be human?" No answer came. Only silence. The figure stepped back slowly, fading into the shadows. Its voice echoed one last time. "Choose, before the silence consumes you." The man stood alone in the hall, his breath heavy, his chest tight. The silence pressed against him, heavier than ever. He whispered, "I must decide." The world around him was broken, lifeless, empty. Humanity was gone, but not gone. Humanity had changed, evolved, become something else. He was the last of the old. And now, he faced the choice that would decide his fate. To join them, or remain alone. The silence trembled, alive, waiting. The man's eyes closed. His breath slowed. His heart pounded. The awakening was over. The choice had begun.